present a talk on enhancing energy efficiency of building envelopes. Let's warmly welcome Pushyamitra.
Talking today, we've got from the other speakers a lot of knowledge about how we can do innovative facades and things like that. What I've been trying to do is I've just tried to take two examples of the buildings what we have done recently, and I'll just try to show it like a case study rather than educating about how the green envelopes have to be and things like that, and the kind of measures we adopted while doing them. So there are two projects here which I'll be showing. One is an IT park and a retail project, and the second one is a residential one. So, so this is one IT park project in Pune. So it's called Global IT Park. It's called High Street now. So here basically we had a linear kind of a side with two sides road with the main road on front, and we had to do a retail also, and at the same time we had to do an IT park, big box building with a larger footprint. So we had to think of both the aspects of how to control the energy and also do innovative things and also see that how the retail also happens properly. So what we did, we split the whole project into two parts. The retail we removed separately, and we kept the IT park box separately. And then we detached them, looking at the directions of the sun and things like that. We just detached them into two blocks and created a little space in between for a little spillover space. So this is the general massing what we did. Further, what we did, if you look at the image on the right hand side, where we cut the building in between and scooped it out to make it more a linear kind of footprint, so that you are able to get a shorter width of the spaces inside rather than large one where you will have to have artificial lighting and also the cross ventilation. Also, if you look at it, the entry to the block work of Shinas, you see like what the gentleman earlier was mentioning, it is exactly done like that. Here we do, though we had a retail space of almost 2.5 lakh square feet of retail, like a mall itself, but we didn't want to make it air conditioned. So what we did, we split the buildings in two parts in the front portion, and also let the air pass through it so that we could have a nice walking space and make it feel like a walking area in a for a mall from a retail perspective. At the same time, we gave internal large spaces, and we reduce the air condition, and when the air flows through it, people have a nice ambience. At the same time, the covered area they're able to walk. So that is what we did. And then, like I told, we created a plaza in between, so that terrace where again people not at the just at the ground level, but even at the higher level, people can enjoy the greenery and other spaces, and they can enjoy the entire space. The IT park block was again, like I mentioning, it was made, though it was like a big bulk, but we split it into two parts so that you can get enough light from both the sides, and also ambient lighting, so that you don't have to depend so much on artificial lighting. Uh, the other level blocks. I'll just quickly go to the views. So this is the typical elevation, what it looked like. Finally, the building looks like the rendering. Initial renderings were looking like this, but finally, when and this is the front portion where, like I was mentioning, the free flowing space from one end to the other end. So you get a large plaza for the retail and a wide opening where it's like naturally you're just walking. The top portion where you see this stripped kind of a thing, though it look glossy, but actually that's part of the cinema where again to maintain the look we gave this kind of strip, but it was completely done out of GRC. So there's no glass used here, but only a blue paint, which gives a feeling of glass, but then still we reduce so wherever it required, we reduce the use of glass. Lower level where the retail is required, we had put this clear glass glazing so that we can all the merchandise could be seen properly. But since it was under a shaded area, it is not having any glare or any impact of. These are some of the other views what we had created. This finally, which was that it looks like this today. So the front retail block, at the rear side we have the IT block. Like I was showing you the initial images, the IT block, the central area which is like scooped inside and it goes deep inside and creates additional space for the people to walk in. Again, the strip kind of a facade with glazing with this fins creates a little shading, like a shading device. It acts so that there's no glare on the and direct heat gain on the glass. This is the internal courtyard what is created between the tent side. You can see that large circular opening, while the entire atrium with the food court and cinema, you have a nice ambience here. And though it's a clear glass on this side, still the space feels very good and nice. This was in between some places where the drop off for the two IT blocks was created with some greenery and things. So everywhere, wherever this hardness of this big box for which is a mandatory requirement for IT and all that, we had tried to soothe it down with greenery and covered spaces and this canopies and things that so it could be a very nice ambient kind of space for people to move around. So this is the first project. The second project is a residential one. It's called Imperial Edge in Mumbai. It's in south of Mumbai, where whatever the site what you get is do you try to maximize out of it, but certain times there are situations where you have to work within the limitations and work around it. So this particular site is in South Mumbai. It's part of a larger development called Imperial, and if you see the red outline there at the edge of the entire property, we had this particular project. It's called Imperial Edge. And here, what was happening, the orientation of the site was such a way that it was like a north-south, where the east and the west two sides were completely, facing the sunlight and things. Also, the west side was completely exposed, and in south, if you see in Mumbai, the western evening sun is quite harsh. At the same time, we had to see that we have large openings and things like that because the views from this particular site are very good. So we have divided the building into three parts here because of the restriction of the site. So we lower level we have an entrance lobby which is almost 12-meter high again, so it makes a free flow area. Then since the parking was limited, I mean the area was footprint was limited, we had to go for mechanized car park. And then nice clubhouse again within the building footprint because whatever space available we had to create that. And on top we have the residential blocks. This is a typical floor plan of the clubhouse where we have the pool and the staircases and the other blocks so that it could blank out the whole direct glare of the sun. And with this, we could create a nice shade for the apartments at the same time deck area, which is again semi-covered, and the entire space suddenly became very ideal. This is the one of the renderings which we had created for the clubhouse area where we can see this large height with the pool, and we can see that because of this height factor, natural light comes in nicely. The typical floor plan, which I now just now explained, with this large terraces all around, and all the apartments having a lot of glazing because that's mandatory and it was important for this kind of a thing where the views could be captured. At the same time, we try to avoid the glare. So this kind of a terrace with this little depth helped in doing that. So this is how the finally the building looks like. Like I told you, the west side is having more blank wall, but we created little strips of painting and things. So it's very like a low maintenance kind of a thing. Though it's a tall building, it's almost much more than 200 meters, but still we try to maintain the with minimal expense, and we created this kind of a nice effect. And this wraparound balconies with the strips gives a very nice feeling of nice elevation facade it gives. These are some of the other images what we have done. So you can what I was explaining. So you hardly get you get nice views. At the same time, you are not directly hitting the sun on that, and the people enjoy this terraces very nicely, and they're very happy about it. There's other side view, and from the top terrace, what you see the entire skyline of Mumbai from here. At the ground level, where we had the parking structure, and there are certain mechanical devices put in, and we also had the ventilation to be done. At the same time, this was where an innovative thing was done. So we used GRC in the middle where the ventilation was to be put. At the same time, it had to look good because it's a very upmarket South Mumbai building. And at the corner, like what I mentioned about the edge, here we had a corner which we wanted to highlight because that's what you see from the road. So there we engaged a designer from London who did an artwork with a very interesting kind of. So this is where the facade is in the front, where we have, and in fact, there's another factor here. This was a very composite kind of a building where on the left hand side here you see there is existing some rehabilitated block also. So there's parking tower in the middle with the ventilation facade, and also the corner where we had to highlight with the some kind of artwork. So that's how the entire facade was created innovatively. And at the top, where the 3 liter, where we have this large height for the swimming pool and that openness which I was mentioning earlier. This is the other few examples in the evenings, even if you look, and this is how what I just gave an example of how with what the parameters of green and energy efficiency, how we could maximize on that and also provide the the most ambient spaces, living spaces for people, whether it's residential or commercial.
Thank you, Pushamitra.